Hello, Band World. My name is Steve Bottom. I am a performing artist and educational clinician for Bach Trumpets, which is a division of the Conselmer Corporation. This will be the first episode in what I hope will be a continuing series. I still don't quite have a working title, let alone a final title. At this point, I would just call it Stuff I Wish Band Directors Knew. I have been a band director myself and also a trumpet teacher. And in one job, I actually taught trumpet and horn, high brass instructor. But let's just say that I'm a trumpet specialist. And if there ever anything to do with horn, I'll bring a more specialized horn player in. Today's first episode will be about chromaticism. Now, I do a lot of band clinics, and it seems to be that that's a skill that is often left undeveloped. That I realize band directors are pressed for time with standardized testing, with other money and time constraints. You know, the arts always get cut, time, money, what have you. And often I hear, well, you know, your band would be really good if you did this, but we just don't have the time. Well, maybe I can help you with a few ways to sneak some things in and help you develop some of these skills in your students that you may not think you have the time to do ordinarily, and also sneak it past the students in a way to where they don't realize they're learning, that they're actually having a good time. Now, one thing that's definitely improved since my era, when I was in middle school in the mid-'80s and graduated high school in 1990, is that there's more of an emphasis on scales. Now, of course, we were required to know our major scales, but now a lot of programs will require at least natural minor too, which is great. But in middle school, definitely, in high school, definitely, and even sometimes in college, I see that otherwise accomplished players are often unable to effectively play chromaticisms. And to me, that's is at least important as the other scales, maybe even more so, because it leads to more technical facility on the horn. You know, if you can really play your chromatics effectively, there are a lot of other things that become easier, at least on trumpet and high brass. Now, I was fortunate enough to come up through a program. My first band director, her name was Sheila Onan, and she was my band director at Northern Elementary and Wimburn Junior High in Lexington, Kentucky. And the things she did, I look back now, I'm amazed. At the time, I thought, well, it's just band. You know, didn't know any different. But you know, seeing what the general level is for that middle grade, you know, 6th grade-ish through 9th. We were at junior high, so we were 7th, 8th, 9th. She was definitely a master of the craft. If there's I'm sure there are people out there who are as good, but if there was ever anyone any better at that age group than she is and was, I have yet to see it. And one thing I noticed is I was a 4-year member of the Kentucky All-State Band. I was third chair All-State as a freshman and principal after that. All-Staters, high-ranking All-Staters, that didn't have some of the technical skills that even some of my classmates that weren't All-Staters had. And again, it was Miss Onan and her way of incorporating things into the regular band practice and kind of sneaking technical skills past us without our knowledge, so to speak. There's one piece in particular I'm going to focus on today, and I had to call her up. I couldn't remember the title, though I did remember the piece. Basically, it's chromatic scales, starting on different tonics and going throughout the different sections of the band, but it's structured as a blues and a swing style. And she told me the name, and I looked it up, and I'm thrilled to find it's still in print 30 years later. It's called the Automatic Chromatic Lots of Fun Warm-Up, written by Andy Clark, published by C.L. Barnhouse. It's listed as grade 2.5. Maybe once you get it under your fingers, that's appropriate, but I would say for first read-through, I would consider at least a 3.5. It's for sale. It says here I'm on Stanton Sheet Music site. It's just happened to be the first link that pulled up. $38, worth every penny. Now I'm going to go ahead and play the recorded intro and a bit of the piece so that you can hear what I'm talking about.
Andy Clark's Automatic Chromatic Lots of Fun Warming Up Blues is undoubtedly one of the best teaching pieces ever written. It gives all of the wind players lots of chances to learn chromatic scales while having lots of fun performing this appealing swing tune.
And then it just kind of takes you back to a recap. Now, she would have us do the usual Bach chorales for warm-up, intonation, etc., but by including this piece in there, we didn't play it every day, nearly, but at least every other day. And I found that, as I said, I would go to Allstate, and my Allstate colleagues, high-ranking best players in the state, wouldn't have the chromatic skills some of our mid or even lower chair players had back at Wimburn and even later when I was in high school. So again, today I'm promoting, and I have no affiliation with any company or anything I've mentioned other than Conselmer, of course. But just as a public service, band directors, if you can pick up the Automatic Chromatic Lots of Fun Warm-Up, published by C.L. Barnhouse, written by Andy Clark, $38 on at least on Stanton's. I assume the other publishers are pretty similar. At this point, it's probably the single most important thing I could think of that would improve your band, top to bottom. So thanks for listening, and just stick with me as this format and this online program evolves into whatever it eventually may be. Have a good day. Bye-bye.